Hello, I'm Michele Wilcher and I'm a homeschool transition coach. And today I'd like to talk to you about the SAT and the ACT tests, why we ask for them, how they're used, a little bit about them in general. To begin with, I want to give you a little bit of history. The ACT test was developed by the American College Testing Service. They are located on the western part of the United States, and so as they developed their test, colleges on the West Coast were more likely to require that test. The SAT, Scholastic Aptitude Test, was developed by the College Board, which is located in the eastern United States. So therefore, colleges in the eastern part of the United States require the SAT as opposed to the ACT. As the federal government got more involved in financial aid and college admission and the Common App became available, colleges began to be encouraged to accept either or of these tests to be more unified in their approach to this. So they began to do that, and they developed a way to compare those test scores to see how that SAT test score might compare to a similar ACT test score because they're on different scales. Because of this unification, this provided opportunity for students to take different tests and see which one they might score better on, to take these tests multiple times. Therefore, colleges began a process of using these scores in a way that we call super scoring, which allows and encourages students to take these tests multiple times to see how they can do the best score they can come up with. These scores are important because they're being used for admissions decisions and for scholarship decisions. So in order to do that, the colleges will accept the best score no matter which test it came from, no matter which testing date it came from. So if your student is taking both types of tests, or if they're taking multiple tests, the college will accept all of the scores that you send and then choose the best score to use for the decision-making process. This also applies to the math and the verbal sections of the SAT. So if you score a higher score in the verbal section on one test, as opposed to the math score, which you might have scored a higher math score on another test, we will take the highest verbal and the highest math, no matter which testing date it came from. This encourages that continuous process of improving the scores. Simply by taking an SAT or ACT test more than once, your student will likely improve their score. It is, on average, shown that students will improve their score simply by taking it more than one time. Why are these scores necessary? Why do colleges want them? Testing is sort of a hot topic, if you will, in the homeschool realm. I often hear parents talking about how their students don't test well and what should they do, and they're very concerned about these tests. And so I want to share a little bit about how they're used and why they're used. Colleges are required by federal law to only admit students who can actually be successful in their program. So colleges have to be able to show statistically that the students that they admit are actually capable of graduating from the program. In order to do this, colleges have researched what are the best predictors of college success. And as it turns out, the best predictor statistically is a combination of the SAT or ACT score and the high school GPA. What a lot of schools will do, not all, but a lot of schools will do, is they will actually develop a formula that predicts the GPA of a student who's admitted to their school for the end of their first semester at the school. We call this the predicted GPA, PGPA. And we'll take the SAT score, the high school GPA, and sometimes other factors like what school the student came from or what types of courses they had, etc., etc. And we will put it into a statistical formula, and it is a regression formula. It gets better at predicting as we learn more about different types of schools and students and that kind of thing. And it will spit out these predicted GPAs. And we'll use these predicted GPAs to award scholarships and to make admissions decisions. This process is to help protect the student as well as to allow the college to make those decisions. So with that said, now that you understand this, this is a very statistically reliable way to predict students and their success at particular schools. We put a lot of weight into this process we're looking at students, but we're also looking at other things in addition to this part of it. We're looking at their extracurricular activities. We're looking at their essays that they write. We may be looking at reference letters that they send in. Whatever other, other admissions criteria there are, we're looking at those things as well. But statistically, the combination of the SAT and or ACT and the high school GPA is going to be the best predictor of college success for us. So if your child doesn't test well, or even if they do, some advice on what to do to prepare for this very important part of their admissions process. Like I said before, if the student takes the test more than once, they're going to, on average, do better the second time or the third time. But there are lots of ways to prepare for these tests. If your child does not test well, they should be taking practice tests. There are lots of practice tests online, free. There's lots of tutorials online. Khan Academy has a bunch of practice things and some ways to learn what concepts that need to be covered and those kinds of things. One of the things you do need to know is that in these tests, they cover a lot of Algebra 1, a little bit of geometry, and some of Algebra 2. So typically, especially your students who are more advanced, they may not have taken Algebra 1 for a really long time. It may have been a year or two since they've taken it. So they need to refresh those skills because that's going to be the majority of the math on their math portion. There are lots of ways you can take courses, you can spend lots of money preparing for these tests, or you can do it for free and find out. But it is important to prepare. There are some test-taking strategies that are also important to understand. When to guess, when not to guess. These kinds of strategies are very important, and it's helpful if your student knows when they should guess or when they shouldn't guess, or how to choose between guessing and not guessing, and narrowing things down. Those test-taking strategies can also be very important. So we've talked a little bit about the history, why they're required, what you should do to prepare. I hope you found this helpful. If so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's more videos on different topics there for you to look at. You can also go to my website, homeschooltransitioncoach.com, and I have some resources there, some opportunities for coaching if you'd like that. The website is listed in the description of this video. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.